Hello, my friends, and welcome back. As I've shared with you before, that the more I speak about something here on my channel, the more clarity comes out. It's almost like it's backing up. And then when I open my mouth to share what wants to come through, I don't know what it is, except that I have a sense of it. I can, oh, core wound, and there's some clarity, but it's almost like I only know this much. And then when I open up, it just comes, it flows. And that's why, while I've been talking about the core wound, there's just more unfolding, more clarity. And of course, I want to share that with you. And then who knows what comes after that. It's um it's kind of exciting for me because I really don't know. I just feel like I make myself available for this, whatever this is. And that's part of my surrendering deeper and deeper. We all have our ways, different times, different stages. So there is more clarity around the core wound that I've been talking about. And I really like the metaphor that came through, like as if we see ourselves as this puzzle and when we're in a fragmented state, which we are, as long as we are separate, experiencing ourselves as separate from the divine, because we are never separate from it. It's just this fragmented part that we have disowned and put out separate from us. So there's two, right? Instead of being one, which is what we are with ourselves and with everything and everyone, then we move into the matrix fabrication, the simulation. Um, and as I've shared before, we're born into the matrix, and immediately we experience ourselves as separate from God. And I'm sure there's a really good reason for that. I've heard many, and they all sound possible. Um, but there are many of us who are ready to come back to oneness. That does not mean we have to leave our bodies. Some may, but that's not necessarily the point. It's the concept that we need to leave, the belief that we are separate from the divine. And because we start feeling the longing, and you know how much I've talked about the longing, which I really feel is such an essential part of this journey. The more we feel that, the more we want to start pulling back from that duality that we have lived with these puzzle pieces, these fragmented parts outside of ourselves. So, a lot of the work we do when we start doing the deeper work is to find these fragmented parts and try to heal them or bring them back in. I mean, if we see ourselves as this master puzzle piece, but there's pieces missing. So we will always go out looking for that so we can come back to the wholeness or the masterpiece of the puzzle. That's the longing. It's just come back, come back. And as long as we have these pieces out there, there is no way to feel wholeness except when all the pieces are back in place. And that makes sense, doesn't it? So we're trying to get into heaven, into our true essence, back into the divine, into our source. We want to come back. But because we have these fragmented parts, we can't get back. It's almost like we need to move through some kind of a portal to come back to God. And of course, that's part of the illusion that we have to do something or go somewhere. But as long as we have that, even as a concept that we want to get back to heaven or to the divine, to source, as if we need to go through this portal. But as long as we have these pieces outside, they block it. We can't get in. I saw this image earlier today when I was thinking of this. Have you ever seen a dog with a big stick and it's trying to get in through a door or a narrow opening? And it goes through and the long stick just boom, it stops it, right? It cannot get in. So I kind of felt that was a funny metaphor for talking about we cannot get in to heaven. We cannot get back into heaven as long as there's pieces of us outside of ourselves that we have not embraced and invited and taken back into the oneness. Now, when we do that, then we realize there is no portal to go through. That's part of the illusion that we need to get somewhere. We already are whole, we already are complete, fulfilled, one. And that's why the only thing we really need to do is to connect with these puzzle pieces, these fragmented pieces out there, and bring love to them because we are already love. So there's really nothing we need to do with them except going there, meeting them with love. And love is our essence. So the love that we are, it's almost like it just kind of folds these fragmented parts back into itself. And then the whole, that something was missing because it was out there, now it's back. And immediately you will feel more whole. You will feel more at peace because you're not leaking your energy away from yourself. You're bringing it back here. And we have many fragmented parts. We probably have ton of them, so many layers that we need to move through, first move into with our presence, with our consciousness. So instead of thinking, that we need to take it to heaven, it's almost like we need to bring heaven to it so it can realize that it's not separate from heaven. I don't know if I'm making it clear here. I'm doing my best. The bottom line is we don't need to do anything because we already are whole, we already are divine, we already are complete and fulfilled. So in a way, all we need to do is come back and rest in that, rest as that, and then let that ooze out into the world and let that guide our movement in the world, what we want to express, experience, share, whatever. So that is when it comes home and there's nothing to do. But we do not know that until these parts are all home. As long as there's any part of us excluded from who we are going to go out there trying to find it, trying to find wholeness, completeness, oneness. That's why there are so many people who end up in relationships, we all do, where it's two fragmented parts getting together, hoping to find oneness, but it cannot happen. The oneness is who we are. So the more we bring these parts that think they need to find something out there, the more we bring them home with love by being with them. These are like the frozen waves or the frozen drops. So I use the metaphor of a puzzle piece or a frozen wave or a frozen drop. And all they need to do is just be warmed up, be loved, so they do not feel separate anymore. It's the same if it's a puzzle piece. Bring it home. Just bring it home. Come on here. Come on back home. And this is where you belong. This is where you fit. This is where you feel whole. This, for me, has been a very long journey, and it's still happening. but it's happening with a lot more peace and ease and grace, simply because these seeming separate parts are softening and softening, like they're melting back into the ocean of oneness as I just allow them to be, love them, whatever is needed in the moment. And it just softens. And that means, again, I can only speak from my own experience. That means that they don't have that seduction. It's like, oh, you have to come out and you have to do something, you have to do. That's been a deep, deep core belief in me, that I have to do. So there's always been that pull, you have to do something, you have to do something. And at a certain point, I came to this place where I was like so done with the doing, that I just said, I'm not going to do anything unless it comes from a natural flow from within, not from this, you have to do something like an urgency or something. And I just got so tired of it because I had been with it enough. So I had a distance or a gap between it and me where I could be with it, right? But at a certain point, it just felt like it was just kind of a suggestion, a hypnotic suggestion, which is the matrix. And then it didn't have interest to me anymore. So it was not like the core pain of it was doing it, that I had kind of melted back into oneness, but the suggestions. And as long as we have these fragmented parts that are unhealed, that are not brought back home again, these hypnotic suggestions from the matrix about duality, you're not good enough, you have to work hard, you have to blah, blah, blah. As long as we have these contracted outside, they react right away to these, and then they think they need to do something, or they get scared or whatever. But the more mine have melted, I just feel like this, you have to do something. And I'm like, no, there's no charge in it. So it has definitely taken a lot of work, and I'm still doing it, but with a lot more ease. So if this is something that resonates with you, take it on as your project to become whole, to come back to your own heaven, to come back to oneness, and leave behind eventually that drive into the world to do something, to experience things. If you still want to experience things, then go with that. It's all good. But if you feel you've come to the kind of the end where it's like, okay, I want to let it all go, then this deeper work begins, where it's not so much about healing the past, it's more about integrating it, and realize that it's a homecoming. And that's where the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, it's right in here. So keep following it back. I think I'll leave it here for now. Please reach out if you feel the need for support on this journey. That's what I'm here for. That's what I love to do. And if you want to join me tomorrow, I have my monthly online gathering tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will put the link in the description, and it's not too late to join. Okay, my friends, wishing you a beautiful day.